Hey, what is up, guys? I am ChurchofCaboose, and in this video we are looking at Borderlands 3 as like a whole game with what we have available to us so far. Now there is an activity coming out for Halloween, but we are not covering that at all in this video. What we're going over is basically my summary of how I like this game, what I like about it, maybe what I don't like, and my whole experience. So I have gotten to the end game. I beat the campaign. And then I did the grind to get to level 50. The reason level 50 is significant because once you get to level 50, that's no gear will drop higher than level 50. So I was going to show you guys real quick what I am talking about. So if you see right there with that Queen's Call on the top, it says level required 50. That's why 50 matters, because then you can't get higher level requirements than 50 at this point in time with Borderlands. So far, it's not been bad. I had way more, I guess, fun and a challenge with the regular campaign. Boss fights would take sometimes like a half hour to an hour, probably because I'm terrible, but it was just way longer. Whereas now when I'm going through doing the supposedly harder endgame true Vault Hunter mode, I can solo these bosses and kill them in like 3 minutes, which has been rather surprising to me, because I would assume logically if you're doing something end game, it would probably feel tougher than when you're doing the regular campaign, but that has not been my experience so far. However, I will say there was a little sweet spot before I was level 50, and I had already finished the campaign, and I was joining friends who were level 50 for their end-game stuff to get my self-experience. I was getting my ass kicked. I could not do anything. It was horrible. I got really close to just being like, screw this game, I'm out. And instead, I just took like a night off from playing. I was kind of like, hey guys, I'm getting pretty frustrated. I'm just gonna take a little chill pill, and I'll come back later. And so the end game's not bad or anything. It's just not as comprehensive, or I guess as much of an end game as I would have expected. Because really all you have for endgame is you have what I'm currently doing, which is the Circle of Slaughter, or this specific one is the Cistern of Slaughter, but they're usually referred to the Circle of Slaughterhouse, something like that. And then you have the Proving Grounds. The Proving Grounds are similar to Destiny, with like the 0-hour mission, and then the Whisper of the Worm quest where you have to beat that timed event. That is pretty much what the Proving Grounds are, only I cannot find a specific piece of loot you would do that for. I'm sure something like that exists. I'm just not finding it, which kind of takes me in to, I guess, a very important point to me. One of the things that I love about Destiny, and a lot of people love about Destiny, is having lots of heads up on things like nerfs, like this week in Destiny, communicating with the devs, that sort of thing. And that does not happen as much with Borderlands 3. Like they have a Twitter, and they did give a little bit of an announcement. They're like, hey, some stuff, exploits weren't working how we intended them to, so we're gonna fix them. But it was not nearly as detailed, I would say, as what Bungie does with all their communicating, because they'll be like, in this date, so you get like a month of a heads up because we messed up or whatever, is when things will change. Instead, Borderlands so far, I guess Gearbox, since they're the developer, has been more like, we're gonna just change this, and you kind of find out like either as they changed it, or you're playing. Like a friend of mine is like, what? Why is this not working how I used to? And like, oh, well, they did a bunch of nerfs. I'm guessing that's one of the things they nerfed. And he's like, son of a biscuit. So that's one really, really nice thing about Destiny that Borderlands does not do. And then if we go back to endgame, Destiny has a lot more of an endgame. Like, woo, you got specific raid weapons, you got specific exotic quests you can do that usually require some sort of a level or a power requirement. You've got, like now with Shadowkeep, things like artifacts. You've got Nightfalls, and then for PvP multiplayer, you also have, had at least Trials of the Nine, and for now we have competitive playlists for those who like to hate their lives and get things like Not Forgotten and that sort of deal. Borderlands just basically has, as far as I can tell, 3 separate, I guess, endgame contents. And if you want to be really picky, you could probably call it 7. Because True Vault Hunter Mode's 1, then you can pick 3 different Mayhem modes. Mayhem 1 is the easiest option, which gives you a slightly better chance at higher tier loot. Mayhem 3 is the hardest option, where the enemies get way more life and is the hardest or highest chance of getting the loot that you are seeking after, which is usually the gold drops that are the legendaries for Borderlands. And then you have what I'm currently doing, which we've already talked about, the circles, slaughterhouse circle. And then you have the proving grounds, which is the time thing. As far as I can tell, that's it. The rest of the end game is just like, how can I tweak my character to be the strongest thing possible? How can I get like that specific legendary out of the billions that exist or whatever that I want? And it's just not as fun for me, you know. Like, part of the reason I think people really like Destiny is because they can be like, I want Recluse. Well, how do I get Recluse? Oh, this is how I get Recluse. And then you go and do it. From what I have been able to find on the internet and from talking with friends, that's not as much the case with Borderlands. A couple of bosses have specific guns, like Queen's Call is specific to one of the Calypso twins that can drop from her or him. They are twins. And otherwise, guns don't really drop unless they're specific to a boss. Otherwise, any legendary can be dropped from anything. And so you don't have any specific thing. You just kind of play, and you're like, well, it'd be really nice if I got this. And odds are I won't, because you know there are a billion guns. But on the flip side, you get way more loot drops with Borderlands because there are over a billion guns. And so like if they're as stingy with RNG as Bungie tends to be, you would probably get really frustrated and bored really quick. And that's a lot of why I have every single weapon equipped or piece of like artifact type thing is a legendary. And speaking of artifacts, that brings us to the next point. Borderlands can be confusing as hell if you're not sure what you're looking for. So I was lucky enough to have friends that are Borderlands like veterans, and so I was playing in that sweet spot where I was dying all the time. It was getting really annoying, and I only ever had 1 health. I had like 8,000 shield and only 1 health, and my friends and I, for the life of me, could not figure out why that was. And someone's like, oh, you probably got something on that gives you just 1 health. And it took us forever because you have to read some really fine print in order for us to find that. So it turned out after like 2 hours of playing that the reason I wasn't getting health and just dying all the time was because I had an artifact on that gave me 0 health, just it was 1 health bar, like just literally 1 health, like 0-1 a health, and then I had everything else in my shield, and that's supposed to increase like drop rates. And it took us forever, so that's why I'm hovering right here, because this is an artifact. So it took us a while to figure out this artifact slot. And perhaps other people are more creative than I am as far as just testing stuff out. But I was trying to figure out weapon skins for a while. So if you look on the bottom of the screen, you don't really see anything that would be like, oh, that's weapon skins. Like, you know, like you got select, unequip, drop, inspect, mark as junk or favorite, and cancel. Turns out all you have to do is click the inspect, so push down on the right joystick, and there you go. That's how you equip the weapon skin, but it was pretty well hidden. I mean, it could just be that I have a low IQ or something. I don't know. But I also know I wasn't the only one that struggled with trying to find it for a little while, and then we just I was just messing with buttons, and I ended up figuring it out. And with that kind of is to another point within that whole, I guess, realm of figuring stuff out. If you want to know what kind of damage your weapon does, like, so if you want to know, hey, I have a lot of enemies that have armor, what kind of damage is really well to armor, you have to inspect your weapon and then scroll over a little bit, and it'll give you a description of what the elemental damage type does and what it's most effective against. Otherwise, unless you happen to be a Borderlands veteran, you're kind of in the clueless, like might be clueless. So like some of these enemies, if I use my Queen's Call hand cannon or pistol thing, will say immune or resist. I'm not seeing any damage tick. And if I happen to have all corrosive damage weapons equipped, I just be cycling through, being like, what the hell? Why can't I kill anything? And I would have then had to have tried to dig through and be like, oh, that's what I need in order to do whatever. And so that's kind of an odd thing to me. That a game as big as Borderlands with all the hype and all that stuff would make that more obvious. Now we're gonna kind of start to wrap this up here. Some of the things I do really like about Borderlands is just how insanely customizable this is. Let's start off with weapons. You can get a ridiculously number of different rolls of weapons, just like Destiny. So let's look real quick at this Queen's Call. So we see right here, it is highly effective against armor, and it has corrosive damage, and it gives you the damage and all that other stuff. And we're going to compare it to another Queen's Call that I have received not that long ago. It has a different damage type and different stats. Here we go. I just scrolled right by it. There we go. Right there. All right. So see, like that specific, it's the exact same gun as far as like they're both Queen's Call. They're both level 50. But the one that I do not have equipped is does more damage by like 40. It says it does 887 damage. It has less accuracy, but it has more handling, and it has a slower reload time. And you can even see the stats are slightly different. Like it has 25% bonus weapon damage, whereas my corrosive one has a 29% bonus weapon damage, as well as that they both have different elemental types. So you can just go nuts looking for your exact rolls. Another example, I don't have this weapon anymore because I only got two of them, and they're both low level, so I don't have them anymore. But it was it's called the Smart Gun XL from the Gigamine fight that's early in the campaign. And I had one that had this insane zoom on it. It's an SMG, a submachine gun. And one had like a 6x zoom, and then the other had a 1.5x zoom. So you can even get like different scopes on these guns, and so it's pretty great. You can farm and try and get exactly what you're wanting. Now let's look real quick at skills. So how you can upgrade your character for skills is you get a skill point every time you level up. You might get more points with higher levels. So maybe when you go from like 39 to 40, you might get like 5 as opposed to 1 when you go from 1 to 2, that kind of thing. I don't know the exact math, but it definitely seems like that is the case. And if not, then it's just definitely one for a thing. If I figure that out, I'll let you guys know. But anyways, you get to upgrade however you want. But the trick is, especially if you have Zane, you cannot fully upgrade 2 action skill trees. And what that's interesting with Zane is because he can have 2 action skills. So I decided that I wanted to pick with using a clone, and I really wanted to have the drone, which is what we're looking at right now, is the drone. But I wanted to have the clone all the way maxed out, and I was able to do different upgrades, as you guys can see. So things I liked on my drone, I like having things like bonus kill damage, that kind of deal, as well as I decided, hey, I want my clone to be fully maxed out because I really like the bottom tree where my clone gets the exact same gun type as my character, what I'm currently using, and so I got to really pick. And if you don't like it, or if I was like later, hey, I want to change something, I can respec it completely, undo all the upgrades I did. I get to keep the points, and I can re-choose how to distribute them and how to upgrade my character. And finally, we have Guardian ranks. Now, Guardian ranks, you can see there on the left, you have all of these different little buffs that you can add to your character, which is pretty great. But the only problem is that it's random. So I'm gonna redeem a token, and so you see here it says choose a reward. So I can go through and pick what exactly I would like to have. Now I tend to go for things like the luck rare drop, so it increases the rare drop rate, increasing things like my max possible health, shield recharge rate, as well as gun damage. Some people are like, oh, you gotta get grenade damage, which with Zane, if you have 2 action skills, you can't have a grenade. And so I don't find it to be as valuable for me and what I want to do grenade damage. But maybe you like having the chance with Zane every once in a while, the first shot will shoot a grenade. And so maybe you want grenade damage. See, this is the kind of customization stuff that you can do. So in sum, this game's got a lot of aspects that are similar to other games. Like it's kind of like a nice little cross of Destiny. I like it as like a chill game because it's not super competitive. As far as I can tell, there's really like no like ELO kinds of stuff, and so it's a nice thing just to be able to hop into and not feel very stressed that I have to do well, so that way people will let me hop in their raid groups or whatever. So that is very nice with Borderlands, but it seems to be a little bit lacking to the point where I would probably, most definitely, almost always pick Borderlands over other games, or excuse me, pick Destiny 2 over Borderlands, unless I have a friend on. He's like, hey, I want to play some Borderlands, let's do Borderlands. I'm like, alright, well, you're a cool dude, let's do Borderlands. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have differing, whether they're agreeing or dissenting opinions, please feel free to comment. I'd love to know what you guys all think of Borderlands, because again, this is just my thought. I would conclude by saying you should totally buy it if you like just shooting things and having just some weird, funky guns that do some funky stuff, because that's basically what Borderlands is. It is ridiculous. I am Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.